Hi,
All
everyone.
right, well, we're gonna have fun with the shaking machine tonight. Just grabbing some little slab pieces out of our mixed slab bin,
That
um,
is a lot of fun.
that we can cut up. Wow, we've just about cleared out these mixed slabs. I think we
We
got a little bit
have.
more upstairs, and then they're gone. But it's always fun to play with the shaping machine.
How many of you are thinking about a shaping machine? And you're like, man, I'm not really sure I know how it works. Looks pretty complex.
How many of you have never even heard of a shaping machine? I bet there's a lot of people that have absolutely no idea what this machine is. Because it's not really something that is common to see in the lapidary world, at least not in small hobbyist uh, size setups. This is a shaping machine right here, this green machine standing up here. And it kind of works like a key maker. So I'm going to take the camera off so get you guys a little bit closer. So you can see it's got this plate right here. And on this one right now, it's got a oval cam sitting on there. And that's directly in line with these two phenolic pins, and you got your grinding wheel here. So how this works is you put whatever shape you want on the cam over here. You just take the screw out, put a different one on. You can see I got a few different shapes here. And it's going to ride on this plate. This plate moves up and down with this handle right here. Moving this plate up and down adjusts the size of the stone that you're going to do. So you don't need, like, if you're going to do an oval, you don't need a bunch of different size ovals because they're scalable. You can move them up or down, which will make it smaller or bigger depending on what you're doing. And then over here, you can clamp different size stones to cut your piece. And you can change this wheel out, this grinding wheel out, with different shaped wheels to do different things. Like right here, this is a sphere wheel. So if we wanted to make a sphere preform, we would use this wheel right here. But it's pretty cool, and you can change out these pins. It comes with a set of these phenolic pins. That is one that I ground down on because I was experimenting, is the nice way to put it. John would be rolling his eyes looking at that pin. You can also, there's a spacer right here. You can take the spacer out to put something wider in there, and we make 2-inch wide wheels. If you're going to do things like a sphere or a wand or an egg, 2 inches is the maximum that you're going to be able to work with here. You can do a good bit bigger, taller, but as for like a sphere, 2 inches is going to be your biggest size. These wheels won't fit the CB8. So like this sphere wheel, that is a 16 millimeter um, arbor. So you'd have to drill that out to be a 1 inch arbor hole to get that to fit. Because we use these machines all over the world, and they're mainly used in production shops. And 16 millimeters is much more common for production shops doing this kind of stuff. And then, of course, you got your speed control on the front here. This is your on and off switch for the little motor in here that turns the the head, your on and off switch for the machine. And then this handle right here lowers the head, and this is also what engages your oil. When you flip that over, that's what turns the oil on. A lot of people, this is a very common question I get, is when people get one of these machines, they go, I'll plug the oil in, but nothing's coming on. The oil is not going to turn on until that handle's engaged over. So, all right. And then it does come with the ability to mount a shaping machine on it. I'm sorry, a Everclean on the shaping machine. You can see we got one mounted right there, although we haven't finished setting that one up yet. And then your drawer down here is where the oil drains back down into, and you got a space to mount a pump for running the shaping machine and a pump for running the Everclean. I also really like You get these little doors to work on, if you need to work on it or check into the side of it. It's pretty cool. One of the other things John Sherman did on this machine, and as well as the production trim saw, if you look on the back there, you can see that round port. That is a 4-inch like air duct. So you could use like dryer vent to vent this out of your shop. It does have a hood, although most of the time, when we're showing this, the hood's open because we're showing you guys what we're doing. But if you were actually running it, you could close the hood and have it suck the oil mist out of the machine, which is pretty cool. All right. Any questions on this machine? And I got the production trim saw here next to us, so we're gonna cut some preforms and we'll make some cab preforms on here and show you guys. And if you so desire, we could do a sphere preform or something too. Oh, changing the wheel. All right, yeah, that's easy enough. So if you're going to change the wheel, get the camera over here. There's a screw right here. Now on my machine, I'm a little lazy, so I don't ever tighten that screw all the way down. I tighten it down just enough that it holds the guard in place, but not so much that I can't just wiggle it out. So that I just wiggle that out of the way. And then you're going to stick your wrench down the side over here. Now the key here is to be careful not to drop your nut down into the tank, otherwise you got to go fishing. I'm going to take our weight off here. Again, I don't have the weight attached. If you look, there's a set screw in there so that you can put it in and tighten it down, although there's just enough room that for display purposes, because we're not running this that much, we'll just stick it in the top there. Well, let me take the weight off. And then you can just lift the head up. This vinyl gets very stiff, so you're going to have to move that out of your way as you pull the wheel off. And it's stuck to the wheel there because of the oil. But this spacer goes on your arbor. It just sits on there like that. This spacer, you need the spacer to be able to tighten your wheel down if you're running something like this 25 millimeter cab wheel. When you put something like a sphere wheel on, you have to take the spacer out, otherwise there's not enough room on the arbor to put it on there. And then you just repeat the process there. You can see, just tighten it back on, and then you're gonna hold the wheel, tighten it with the wrench to put it to change it back. One of the other things that I have not shown yet is the head on this. You can index. So this is really important if you're doing like a sphere, because you can see the pin is overhanging the edge of the wheel by quite a bit. Now this side moves because you can tighten and loosen it. But this handle over here moves the whole head. So if I loosen that, the spring will push it back over. And that's still kind of a big pin to do this with, but you can see how it moves the head. Let's see. So you can just take you can do it there's a couple ways to do it. You can do it as aggressive as just taking a chunk of rock like that and clamping it in there and grinding it to do a sphere. If we were running these, the downside to that is you're going to go through wheels a lot faster. What a lot of people do is just cut a cube and put the cube in there and grind it down that way. In our shop, John would have them cut a cube, then cut the corners off, and you're only doing up to 2 inch spheres, so they would do that on the shaping machine here, or I'm sorry, on the production trim saw, and cut the corners off, and then run it through here, so you're saving on wheels. Usually when I do it, because I don't do it terribly often, we just do a cube and then run it in here. But we're kind of set up to do spheres right now, or I mean cabs right now, other than the sphere wheel. So let's change back and do some cabs, and then we'll change it all over to do a sphere. Put that back up. I do think this is such a cool machine. This is one of the machines that I wish I would have bought when I had my shop, because this would have saved me so much time.
I was just gonna ask if you had this in your shop.
Yeah, we do sell this. We have they're up on the website, but if Lizelle's on, she can help you find them. The flexible sprayer. I wouldn't do anything bigger than about 3 inch. That'd be kind of the maximum on for tumbling the tumble rougher. Let's see. Get that tightened back down in there. You do want to make sure you have that wheel snug. Otherwise, when you turn on the machine, it'll start up so fast that it'll spin the wheel on the shaft, which is never a good thing. One of the other cool things about being able to index the head is as we wear out the wheel, you can see, let's pretend there's a rock in there for a second. You can see I could wear out one section of the wheel and then move it over the thickness of whatever, 1/4 inch, whatever much you're working, and I could wear out the next section of the wheel. So even a 25 millimeter wheel like this will last a really long time doing cabs. When Sherman was running these machines in the production shop, let me wash my hands. I'll be right back. They were producing 2,000 preforms a day, doing things like body jewelry and cabochons, stuff like that. Spheres take a little bit longer, so you're not going to crank out quite that many spheres, but you can still do a lot. Get my hands clean so we can cut some slabs. This machine, the production trim saw, is a really good machine to pair with the shaping machine, which is why we have them set up next to each other, because they work so good together if you're really doing production. One of the reasons that John and Sherman built this machine is if you're going to compete with all the mass production in the world in a one-man shop, you got to be able to do it effectively. And this really helps with that. Oh, I didn't turn on the water enough. All right. That's one machine with one operator. That one's already a good size. That's cut that one. That'll be good. That's a decent size.
Zeke, did you already answer this question? How many machines would you have to run to make 2,000 cabs a day? That's just cab preforms
Should
you were talking, right?
Yeah, for cab preforms, just one machine. That's one person with a production trim saw and a shape machine. That's all they're doing all day.
And then there was a couple more. What is the water pressure you use?
Um, that is a great question. I don't know what the water pressure is. Um, I know it's too high because ours, you get the valves, some of our valves leak because it's so high. Um, what John recommends for like the cab machines and such is 15 psi or something like that. I want to do a heart out of this piece, so we're gonna cut a section of this. And these are 1/4 inch thick slabs.
Jerry says, dang, that production trim saw cut so fast. It runs what? 3 times the speed of the normal 6-inch trim.
Twice as fast. Let's see.
Hold on, I see those questions. I'm just blind, I can't see.
Yeah, it does run really fast. All right, we'll turn that one into a little heart. Yeah, this is a great machine for doing production. If you want to be competitive, you need something like this to really keep up. Let's see. So we'll start off. I'll do a couple different shapes, but we'll start off with doing an oil. Oval, not oil. I was like, what
I
did I
was
just
just
say?
gonna
That doesn't sound.
ask,
I was like, what did I just say? That didn't sound right.
for
I'm a
oh
little, I'm a little bit out of it today.
yeah, no kidding. Um, for those of you that ordered reciprocating laps, 24-inch reciprocating laps, they are in, so you can go into your portal if it's in there, pay the remainder. Um, that way I can start shipping them. I was talking to you guys on the cab event earlier about it.
All right, so I put my trim guards back there. I cut kind of a rectangle piece, and I lined it with the oval we got here. I'm gonna move this plate up so it doesn't grind too much off, and I'll bring it down to the right height. But I'm gonna bring it up really tall, and that would be for grinding a bigger piece. The higher up this is, lower it is, the smaller the piece it'll make. Put our oil in line. All right, let's fire this thing up. I'll give you guys a shot where you can kind of see everything. So turn that on right there. We'll start with the grinding at slow speed, although you can grind this a lot faster. We'll bring this over, engaged. Oh, although I have it set so slow, I didn't have my head rotating. That's the problem. I was like, what did I just do? So if you turn the switch all the way down, it actually won't grind at all. This needs to be in the on position. You see if this light is red, you need to switch that over so it's green. And then you gotta turn it up enough for it to actually start grinding. And now I'm gonna bring it down until it starts grinding in the piece and we get where we want. Because I have that set really high. Now what's great about this is if you're doing calibrated cabs, like you were gonna make a 8x13 or an 8x10 millimeter cab, you grind your first preform to the right size, And then you don't change it for every one after that. You just stick it next piece in and do it again. I'll tell you what I mean here in a second. We can also turn that so it's grinding way faster. We're grinding really slow. And once it stops grinding, when you get it to the height you want, you know it's done. All right, so that one's finished. I always turn it off so I don't stick my finger in there while the wheel is running.
That's smart.
So you can see it made a perfect little oval there. But what's really great about this, that one's going to be a little too small of a piece. Unless you line it up real careful. I'll do the other one. Let's see how close I can get this. But I can make these exactly the same. Although this one's going to be more, I cut it small, a little on the small side to make these identical. You definitely could mark the center of the cab. Gosh, Tay clogging up the machine here.
It's
I'm so
great.
just kidding. That is so me. All right, what I'm gonna do, because this thing is clogged up, good thing for you guys to see, is we're gonna take this off and I'm gonna blow this out with the air compressor.
Don't do this with your mouth.
Well,
Don't.
I usually do that,
No, I'm
but
not saying yeah. I'm not saying you. I'm saying for anything. Don't suck any yuck out of anything. Lapidary related.
all
Not an
right.
approved
So
message.
I just straightened this out. I'm gonna take this over to the air compressor and blow this out. That's so funny.
But no, we didn't get any of the big tumblers in.
Well, hopefully that'll run a little smoother for us. When I was putting on the EverClean, I noticed that we have not cleaned that machine out in a long time. And yes, I know we means me, but I can hear Kitty Cat going, "We, you got a mouse in your pocket?"
Mouse in your pocket.
So we might be a tad bit sludgy on our oil. Cat is really funny.
I miss Cat.
All right, see if that gives us a little bit better flow. Ah, hey, look at that.
Did you get it?
Yeah, it was just clogged up because we've been running this without an Everclean.
Oh yeah, well, that'll do it.
You can see how fast that one ground in once, cleaned out the oil and actually had the it set up. And now when I put these two together, they're exactly the same size. So that's really important because it's so repeatable that if you were going to do a project where you had a bunch of these, you could, crank out, or if you're doing jewelry where you buy a setting and you buy a pre-made setting and you want to make an exact replacement for it, you could set up and make a bunch of one size, 8x10 is a really common one, and do that. So the shape is determined by whatever cam is on the side over here, because it rides against this plate. So I'll take this cam off and we'll put a different shape on there. So you can see it rides against the plate right here, because this shaft right here turns with these. So
Secret.
let's see. Let's do a hex cab next. I'll put that on there and we can do one of those, yes. So let's see.
Pretty sweet.
This piece right here is already a pretty good shape for this. So let's stick that one in there and run it. And then I want to run a heart preform in here. I know we haven't had shaping machines in stock in so long. I was very excited because we have the shaping machines in stock right now, right?
I believe so.
See, now that I put something that is a little bit smaller, I'll just I'll bring the head down, going the wrong way. Well, that slab didn't hold together. Well, that slab kind of just crumbled apart, so I'll grab another one. We'll do a hex in there. Had the structural integrity of wet bread.
Zakery.
That was just something random I found. It looked like a piece of Chrysocolla. It wasn't something that we cut. It was just a little scrap I had here. And now it's blue mud.
Blue mud.
Although even with that jade, so the size is determined by the cam right here, or by the up and down right here. So I'll show you guys. We'll miniaturize this piece for you a little bit. Now I got kind of big cams on there, or big pins, but this handle is what determines the size. So I'll take this out and show you. There's a little hex cab. But if I put this back in here, and I'm gonna move this over so we don't grind the metal part of our pins. And I don't need to do that with a second set. You guys should have seen the look on John's face when he saw me do it with the first one. So now I'll go ahead and make this a decent amount smaller. And we have smaller pins. So if you're doing something really small, you can put something smaller in there. That was pretty good. So you can see we changed nothing but the height of the deck, and now we have a very cute little hexagon.
Are you gonna do a sphere on the shaping machine tonight, Zeke?
Yeah, we'll do a sphere on here tonight. I just wanted to do the cab since that's what I had set up first.
No, I got you.
So let's see. Let me get you all down a little closer so you can get you parallel to so you can see what we're looking at here. All right. So I'm not going to put a stone in there so I can show you this um, kind of visual. But if I bring that down, let's see, let me actually move this out of the way so you can see. You can see this right here, the head over here where it's writing against, and it's turning that hex piece. And you can see where the cams are writing right above the wheel there. As I bring that up, you can see the distance from the cams to the wheel changed. And it's fine adjustment, so it's not moving very fast, but you can see how much height difference there is in this plate now. That's why when I change the height of that, it changes the height of the or the size of the stone. Does that make sense? So the higher up this is, the bigger your stone will be. The lower down it is, the smaller your stone will be. I'll turn this off and we're going to grind in a heart cab because I want to talk about that. And then we'll switch over and make a sphere. And John will be giving me the come on, dude. If he saw that these were not tightened down. I just do them finger tight so I can change them out because usually I'm just showing you guys. If I was actually setting up to do a batch of these, I'd be running more than just one at a time. So I'd set this up, tighten that down, run a big batch of them. I've cut cabs down to about 4 millimeters. Um, big, maybe 2 inches, maybe a 4 inch circle, and up to a 2 inch thick piece. If that makes sense. You don't need to use that much oil, and you also do have the hood. Like I have a lot of oil spraying right now. Um, if you close the hood, it's really not a problem at all. But because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing when it's grinding, I don't close the hood. There is a little valve on the sprayer here you could close down to use less oil. You're talking about this screw right here. This screw you can adjust to limit. So if you don't want to you don't want to grind past a certain point, you can move the adjustment on this screw so that you don't you don't grind too far past the point, kind of like a auto shut off. I don't ever really have that on there. But if you were and I don't know exactly how you would measure that, but you can set this screw so that you don't grind past too far if you loosen this handle down, if you're grinding down. John may have more to say on that, but for when I'm running this, it's always in the all the way up. So when I'm figuring out the size, like if I was doing an oval and I wanted to make an 8x10, I would just grab a set of calipers, and while it was still in the pins, I would take a set of calipers and measure it and make sure it was where I wanted it to be. All right, let's grind in this heart because I want to talk about the bump. The bump in the heart is always a question people ask. Let's see, that looks about right. We'll adjust our oil. And whenever I'm changing shapes or doing something new, I always bring the head back up so I don't grind too far, and then just bring it into where I want it. Oh, bring it down. You get excited and taking it back up. One of the other things that's nice about doing it like this, and one of the things you got to be careful for, is that you don't drop the head down too fast and move the stone because you brought it against the wheel too fast. So there's a good amount of ability when you're lowering the head to gently bring that into the wheel and not just smack the rock against the grinding wheel.
Lizelle, I sent you a message on here.
All right, that's plenty done. All right. Sherman said that they've made a wheel before to do this. I have never seen it. But if you will notice that there is no, I should have adjusted that a little bit more. Turn it more so our fortification's a little bit more lined up. We'll make that side the top. That'll look more intentional.
Intentional, yep.
Happy little accident. If you notice, it
Zeke
didn't
loves that
grind
word.
in the top bump there because you're limited by the radius of the wheel. So that is something you'll have to finish on a cab machine. Sherman said that they've made wheels to do that before. I've never done that or seen that, but potentially that is a possibility. But it's very easy to just grind that in, and we're actually going to finish this heart tonight. That's a fun piece. All right, before we go on to like making a sphere, you guys got any other questions? Pretty cool machine. You can see how fast it cranks out a preform. And obviously it's not finishing the cab for you, but how long would it take you to make a perfect circle, a perfect oval, a perfect, heart preform? I remember doing a batch of, I don't know, like 80 something hearts once. And even though this doesn't finish it for you, if I had had this machine, it would have cut my time down by probably half. I love how symmetrical it gets them. The other cool thing is we have blanks. So if you want to cut your own shapes, you can. John will also custom make you uh, um, cams if you want custom cams. All right. Let's go. Let me go grab a rock and we'll cut it down for a sphere. So you could let me show you a puffy heart wheel because they're very similar. Now, obviously, these are two different sizes, but the puffy heart wheel is a little bit more narrow and deeper cut, where the sphere wheel is going to be a more like perfect half radius. So, I mean, technically, if you're like, well, I'm just going to make one or two, but I want to make spheres, you could get away with doing it on um, Sphere wheel just not as perfect, but if you want that perfect puffy heart shape, you're gonna want to use the puffy heart wheel. They're actually the only reason I even know that's a puffy heart wheel is because I tried to make a sphere on it, and I was like, "Oops, not quite right." They are very close. We also have for doing smaller, like double-sided hearts. We have this wheel right here, where you what's nice about it is they give you two grooves, so you only use one groove at a time, and when you wear it out, you just switch over to your other groove if you're doing smaller pieces. Let's see. Let me go grab a chunk of rock, and we'll cut it down on the production trim saw. My goodness, I can't talk tonight. Jordan, you need to watch Back to the Future.
Okay. We'll add it to the
Uh,
ever growing list.
I was just thinking, McFly, hello, is anybody in there? The
I have no idea
ever-growing
what that
list.
is. I'm like
I
buried in a
know.
sea of machines.
We know you don't know what that is. That's why we gotta add it to the list.
Thank you, Zachary. I really appreciate you.
You know?
So funny.
No, she hasn't seen like any movie. There's like three.
Of the Back to
Let
the
me
Future?
well, there is three Back to the Future movies, but I was
How
saying,
many times you gotta go back to the future? Seriously.
oh my gosh, you hear the blasphemy that's being spoken at the moment? Let's see, let me actually see if I can get you guys in front. See, it's like you're sitting at the trim saw with me. I'm gonna very much rough this out. If I was doing a bunch of these, what I would do is I would set up the fence right here. So it was a little bit bigger than whatever size sphere you're going to do. We're going to do a 1.5 inch. So if I was going to do this, I'd set it up so it was like 1.6 inch, 1.65, something like that. You could even do a little bit bigger if you wanted to, but um, and then I would be able to cut every face perfectly. But we're gonna wing it
Wing
with
it.
a set of calipers. All right, let me get the chair in here without knocking over the camera. I do love this trim saw, especially for doing things like this.
Are you at the production firm right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing's a beast.
Let me check with the calipers about how big I need to make my next cut. We'll just do this a tad bit over. All right, well, let's hope that I cut that a little bit thicker than what we need. Ooh, that's gonna be tight. I got a 1.56.
Decree. Hello. Can you hear me?
What was that?
Oh, I didn't know if you could hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Tomorrow's gonna be one of those days where I'm like, oh my goodness, my body hurts. I'm thinking that right
Are you
now.
mo- are you moving stuff that's too heavy?
Um, I'm sliding it, but yes.
What was that?
I said I'm sliding it, but yes.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, don't overwork yourself because tomorrow is giveaway night. So,
Oh, I don't know. I'm not gonna be here for the giveaway tomorrow.
yeah.
I'm sick.
I love Lizelle. Yeah, so funny.
That's funny.
All right. You can see why I like the production trim saw, even with kind of half-assing this cube. It really didn't take very long. Let's go set up the shaping machine for doing a sphere.
Do you also have a deal on production trim saw?
No, but we could make one. The production trim saw is 8-inch. Sodalite. And then for doing round anything, if you're doing like, bullet bead, if you're doing a round cab, if you're doing a sphere, you don't have any cam on there. You just use the machine because this is already round. So you don't need a cam for it. Thank you. We do have good sodalite. A couple big pieces. Let me change out our cams here.
She is good. Sorry, I'm just reading all your stuff.
Do you have more sodalite there?
We do.
Yes.
Okay.
I think these two will work.
Zikri,
Yep.
what is the price per pound of the Blue Mountain?
It's 80 a pound. Oh, perfect.
It was funny. I was asking Zeke if we had more Charway earlier, and we're like out,
Also,
out.
yeah, I also posted the sodalite deal in the chat for you guys.
Hey,
Oh,
thank you.
ooh, sodalite deal too. Let's see. Let's get our sphere wheel back on here. This is a really cool machine. I do love even just making the shapes is so fun. It ships with the pan off, but it's all in one crate. Not a better place to set that. Then we got to remember, we got to take our spacer out so we can fit the bigger wheel on. Yeah, those are heavy duty machines. All right, got that in there. Now, before we do anything else, we got to line up our pins. Yeah, that's a splash guard. That one's probably time to replace that. It's just those two screws. I'm gonna move the pin over so that it's just barely overhanging the edge of the wheel. This pin does not move this direction right here. You got to move the whole head over to move that pin. But I want you guys get a good visual there. Hey, you can see oh, you want to lower this head so you can get a good. Oh, see, I should have one without such a long pin on it. But I think we can still make that work. So I lowered the head down, and now we got it just barely overhanging the side there. Now I'm gonna lift it back up, put in our freeform. One thing that'll help you align your preform is to take and draw an X from corner to corner, and that will help line your cube up. And this one I cut a little too small because it should overhang, but it doesn't. But it does just barely fill the wheel right in the middle there. So I think we're going to be a little bit smaller than 1.5 inch on this one, but we can still make it work. But generally you want just enough that it's overhanging that just a little bit. But that's why it's all adjustable, because rarely is it ever perfect. All right, then we'll bring our size up. And on this one, what we're going to do is bring the head down till the wheel is almost touching the pins. And just bring it up a good amount. All right. I'm also going to slow down the cutting speed and put the head back in there. What was that about a puffy heart? I saw something about
I'm
a
coming.
puffy heart, but
Someone
I
asked if you
can't.
could do a puffy heart after this.
Oh yeah, we could cut a puffy heart.
Hi, Michael. That's a good piece. I just caught a glimpse of that.
Going the wrong way. I hate when I do that. Oh, I do it all the time. Go the wrong direction. Drives myself crazy with that. The bottom wheel is spinning at like normal cab machine speed, the 1725 RPM. This wheel is pretty worn because we've done lots of spheres on it, and it's still grinding away. No, they're plated. But using oil helps make them last a long time. These wheels won't fit the CB8. They're the 16 millimeter arbor. Although I do want John to start making wheels that will. We do not make sintered wheels for the shape machine. Although that's an interesting idea.
I was just gonna say.
I think I was a little off when I put this one in. That's okay. It would be good for spheres. But you can see how fast that's still grinding that in. And this is a pretty worn wheel. Yeah, I cut this rock too small. It's not going to finish out to be a good sphere. I should have given ourselves a little bit more room. It's going to have a flat spot on it. Actually, it's probably going to have a couple flat spots on it. Because I cut it really close to the finished sphere size. Big bead. There we go. I like it. That's what Jordan's doing tonight, is shipping the flat laps. That's this knob right here to just the height.
Jeanette, yours is in the wave to get brought down from upstairs. I saw your name pop up on there today.
No, you can't turn it 90 degrees because you'll never be able to line it up close enough to get it to work right. The little area that the pins are touching, that's as good as that one's going to get. The little area that the pins are touching, you grind off with like a cab machine. So you can see, because I cut this one too small, I have a flat spot on one side. This is what it should look like, is where you have a nub like that sticking off. And then you would take that over and grind that off with the cab machine. Then you could throw this in the sphere machine, or some people throw it in a vibratory tumbler. Historically, what I've done when I make this mistake is I just polish that flat spot by hand, and I still finish the sphere in the sphere machine. And then you have a nice little flat spot to display the sphere. Yeah, we've made shifter knobs too. That can be really cool. But there you go. There's the sphere. You could take this and put it on a smaller wheel and grind it down further if you wanted. That's definitely doable. All right, let's make a puffy heart. I've never actually done a puffy heart. That should be fun.
First for everything.
All right. Let me wash my hands and grab another rock. The puffy heart is easier to do than the sphere is, so. Because you got more a tapered edge. If you screw it up, you just grind in a little bit more. But isn't that pretty cool? You can see just how fast you can grind stones in. If you're doing 2-inch or smaller spheres, this is really fast way to do it. Looking for a chunk of rock big enough that we can cut up with the. Oh, I may have one that might be the right thickness. Let me look and see. This could be a really cool one. I'll be very happy if the slab is the right thickness.
How much does this machine cost, team?
Ooh, it is. All right, we'll do a puffy heart next with this blue aragonite. I've never done the puffy heart on here, but we're gonna just kind of mark ourselves off a decent square there to cut off. I'll cut off that little nub up there, and we'll put that in there to do our puffy heart. I'm so happy that it's almost as if I had that planned. I wish I could take credit for that, but it's just a happy accident because I was cutting up aragonite.
All right, Bob.
I still can't believe you never watched that show.
I didn't watch. Don't worry, I watched Saw like all day long one day. My mom will never let my dad get the end of that.
Yeah, that's a thin line blade on there. All right, there we go. Blocky chunk. Team, how much is the PT? And do you give both the regular sorry, but give both the powder coat and the stainless steel price? Because I think we have both. And if you're gonna run oil, then the powder coat will save you a couple $100. It is a great saw. It cuts so fast. All right, let's get our sphere wheel out of here. You can see why I never screw that all the way down when we're showing this. We're always changing it out. If you're not changing your wheels off, and then there's no reason not to screw it down. Yeah, the PT is high on the. That's probably the other machine that I regret not buying the most. It's such a great tool. All right, put our spacer back in here. There was very few machines, Highland Park machines, that I didn't have at my shop. There we go. Right, Jeanette? That's so funny. It is. It sure is fun. All right, well, let me put the heart cam back on here. And then I'm going to bring this head way up. Now, it definitely can seem like it's a little bit time consuming to do this because we're changing everything out. As we're doing it, we're changing the whole process. But it's only because we're only doing one thing, one of each thing at a time. If we were actually doing production and set up to run a lot of these things, you'd be like, my goodness, this is fast. Again, I'm gonna adjust that so it's overhanging a little bit. I got excited and lifted the head. Should have checked this first.
Do you need a cam to run with the egg wheel?
No, because you're doing a round, technically. Speed that up a little bit. All right, this is a big piece that we're sticking in here. I might have I might have cut this still a little too big. Let's trim that down a little bit. I got a lot of overhang. And then we'll get this cut. And we have our PT plumbed right into the water supply, so it's real easy. All right. That should be a little bit better of a size for us. And I really am determined to max out this machine. All right. I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm gonna make this nice and big. One of the other things that could help here is we do make different size cams of some of them. And if I had a bigger heart cam on here, that would really help with what I'm about to do. But because I don't have a bigger heart cam on here at the moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just by raising the head up manually. And get it started. This is a soft stone, so it won't take much to grind that in. This also shows you that the better your preforms are, the faster this goes. This is very much a winging it as we go. You cannot use a puffy Hartwell to make a sphere because your sphere will never be really round. It'll be more kind of V-shaped around that.
This is pretty cool.
This will be a pretty big puffy heart.
Oh, that's what I just looked at the screen. Puffy heart, like the ones we're looking at on Monday. I understand. I just was able to look at what you were doing.
Oh, that's exciting.
It is so exciting. Hi, everyone. I'm drinking a lot of water. Are you hitting the blacks? Are you hitting on the black spacer on the right side, just left of the wrench?
Yeah. Yeah, so like, why is it going so slow all of a sudden? And because it came, that added enough pressure down, it came loose on us. Let's see. Yeah, I was like, man, it's grinding real slow all of a sudden. That would be a good catch. All right, I'll stick that back in there and fix this now. I was like, gosh, it's going slow. All right. Bring her head up. Oh, yes, yeah. You know what John will be saying, dude? That's why you keep your machine clean. And he's not wrong.
Could you make a puffy? I don't know if you answer this. Could you make a puffy hexagon or something with this and other cams?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, if you guys get one of these, you should experiment with making all kinds of weird, funky things. The wrench is because I use it to change out the cams or the pins and the wheels. The wrench right here is not a problem. It was because one of these was standing up underneath there. A couple more flat spots to get out still. We kind of screwed up our shape a little bit when I let it come loose. I'm looking at this edge, looking for the flat spots from cutting. You gotta grind until those are gone. Uh, yes, Brett. Lizelle, will you help Brett with that? All right. So you can see it gets you that kind of preformed shape, and you'd grind your bump in there. I'll have to ask Sherman more about the wheel that does the center bump in there. Because I've never seen that before, but it gives you that kind of V-shape edge. You could do all kinds of, if you're doing double-sided cabs or doing a pendant and drilling, you can also, I like to leave the face flat and just grind it in. But if you wanted to, you could grind this all the way in so the edge of the wheel is getting all the way to where the cam would be. Or I'm sorry, where the pin would be. There you go. All right. And then this one, we'll go finish on the cab machine. That was a heart preform we did just on the cab wheel. You guys got any other questions about this machine? Anything else you need to see? I'm gonna go wash the oil off.
I'll go look in a second, Zeke. Making the groove for the heart. I think he's gonna do that on the cab machine. All right, Lizelle's got that. What would you use the double channel wheel for?
So that would be the same thing as doing the puffy heart that we just did, but just on a smaller scale. And instead of having one groove, they give you two, because that way you can use you get twice as much diamond. It doesn't need two grooves. We just give you the extra groove so that you have the extra diamond. It's like getting two wheels for the price of one. There really is a lot of cool things you can do with this. It is a really cool machine.
And then how much for that Sodalite sphere that you just did?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Jeffrey's asking, not me.
Okay, we'll deal with that later then.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely can do body plugs. There's a guy on YouTube or on Facebook that I see all the time. That's basically his whole business is making plugs for people with the shape machine. He's got a cab machine. Sits there, cuts out a piece, runs it on the shape machine, then polishes it by hand and sells them. Body jewelry is very big with this machine. But I do want to make a heart cab with y'all tonight, so we'll take this one and finish that out as a heart.
Oh, hold on, Zeke. Before you move over to the next thing, is that a spot for an exhaust on the back of the machine?
Yes. Yep. So you can
And
use
then,
same as like size is like 4-inch dryer vent. That port right there, so you can have it suck in the oil mist out, so you're getting less oil mist in your shop.
all right. And then you answered the body plugs one, right?
Yes. Yes. Any other questions on this machine before we go over make a heart? And then
That's
Lizelle,
pretty
you
cool. You
want to
guys
share
get to
that,
see everything.
or team, you want to share that deal again? Yeah, you can do all kinds of beads, wands, eggs. Um, I probably am not supposed to talk about it, but John was playing with the idea of being able to do high dome cabs on here. That's funny, Matthew. I want John to do a bead mill for the round beads too, but you can do beads on this down to I think 6 millimeters. Um, we have like bullet beads, rondelles, all kinds of fun stuff. I agree. Right? It's really cool.
It's
So
pretty
yeah, the
cool.
egg would sit top to bottom this direction, and you'd have a wheel that kind of made an uneven curve, and you run it around and grind it into an egg, and you grind the nubs off just like the sphere, but egg shaped. So it is really cool. All right, let's go make a heart cab because I know that was highly requested. It is the coming up on heart season. It's funny this time of the year now through Valentine's Day is people go nuts selling hearts. When we had my dad's shop, hearts were so popular this time of year. All
Okay.
right,
All right,
on the heart
Lizelle,
here.
let's do that.
On the heart here, since it's already preformed out for us. I mean, y'all could get to this part right here pretty easy on a cab machine for where we're at, but that we're gonna take it from here on doing the heart. But you could mark this out or just get it to this shape, and then you can do the heart from here. We're gonna start by doing our notch, and what you do is you take it halfway into the middle, and you just grind a little notch halfway into the middle. And I don't like to get too crazy with it, but that's all you're gonna do is grind that. Now we're gonna dome it like it's a regular cab. Just rolling it around the edge.
Yeah, there's something going around that people are getting. It's not fun.
Yeah, Jordan and I both feel like crap. I think tonight will be an early night for us too. Well, looks pretty good. Gotta make sure you do get all the chips off the back edge too. Keep it looking symmetrical. One big tip is to not grind too steep of an angle here, and don't grind your tip off too much either. You know what I think we should do after this?
What?
Cut some of that condor seam.
Ooh, I agree. Oh, that's the heart that you made last year out full circle.
Oh, is it? Well, yeah, you're
I
right.
think so. I think so.
I did make one out of condor theme. I have no idea what's going on in the chat, but all I saw was Wallace say 6-7.
That's funny.
I just left a nasty groove in the top right there. Hi.
I love when you do that. That's funny. It's like when I repeat the same TikTok sound like 5 million times. And I
You know, I probably haven't made a heart since the we did the cut and chat last year. Well, this is not going to be as clean as the one we did last year, but It'll still look decent. I do like the center bump to be a little bit more shallow. Yeah, let me dry this off and see how we're doing. That's a cute little heart. I really like that green color. This is one of those slabs that John did the chemical treatment on.
Oh, you're tabbing that one. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, the other day when when I was loading those other ones, I saw this one and immediately was like, oh, I gotta do something with that. Irish. That's so funny. The shamrock shape shake, that's what we'll call this.
Oh, I do not like those.
I like having the expandable drum speed us along there.
Oh yeah, I think I got Zeke sick. That looks pretty, Zeke.
I think Chantel and Jordan have the circle going.
You know, I never really used to get colds before. And I
I
started
think this is
working
the
here and
flu.
it's like all the time. I got the flu. I've had like the big, like horrible sicknesses. Like I've had the flu, pneumonia. I've had bronchitis a couple times. Patient zero again.
Yeah, this is a much sharper bump than I normally prefer, but it's still not bad. This is kind of like the suit agates, where it's been chemically treated from like kind of just a plain white agate to have this green stone. John was really going for, if you're familiar with the Fisher stones, something similar to that. This is also how they do like the black opals. Um, they do the you see like a lot of those cameos where someone's face is carved into the stone, black and white, same kind of treating it. So it's not naturally this green, but it does give it an interesting look and taking an otherwise boring agate, making it fun. I'll have to, when we're done with this, I'll have to show you guys one I consider like pretty much a perfect cart cab. Although that's subjective. 50,000 grit. How was the game, Matthew? I tend to use the 8-inch more. If you're gonna do bigger cabs or want to polish like agate specimens and slabs, definitely go with the 8-inch. If all you're doing is making cabs, then you're gonna be real happy with the 6-inch. That is a fun color.
Lindsay, can you explain one more time the process John used for these?
Sorry, do the what?
Can you explain the process John did for these?
Oh, the treatment?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the cab machine, and I was trying to figure out
Oh,
what
sorry.
process.
Yeah, the
Um,
stone.
I'll have to have John explain it again, but it's a chemical treatment, a lot like doing like the black opals, where I can't remember if you soak it in acid or sugar, boiling sugar, one of the two, and then you put it in the other, and it carbonizes and causes the color change, and you add in something different to get the greens. If you don't add in the other, add in something, you get the black and white, like the suit agate slabs. The green has got something else in it that I can't remember. Yeah, a lot like the sardonic. But a lot of the black opal is treated the same way. It's just a white banded agate. I mean, you can do it with clear, but it works better because you get the contrast with something banded like this. It's also the same kind of process where you see like the Mad River agates, where you get the crazy reds and black. Oh, there you go. What Lauren said.
Sugar first, then boiling sulfuric acid to caramelize the sugar. It just starts like as a regular, like kind of agate, right?
Yeah, it just look like a plain white agate. That's what I really like about it, is because it takes something that would otherwise be fairly boring and makes it significantly more interesting.
That's exciting, Cynthia.
All right, let's try this off and see how I did. Oh, I think we got some contamination on one of the wheels because there's scratches there that weren't there earlier when we checked it. You see those scratches? Those were not there earlier, so I think we better take a brush and clean these wheels real good. Oh, we'll still buff it with cerium.
How do you clean the wheels, Zeke?
Scrubbing them real good with a scrub brush. Yeah, a toothbrush would work. I usually use something a bit more aggressive, but you could use this toothbrush. Well, I use some soapy warm water. Although I'll probably be able to hide some of those scratches just by giving it a really good buffing.
Can you use the green Scotch Guard pads?
Yeah, you could do that. All right, let me go wash this off and let's take a peek at it. Yeah, it's not bad. Just because of the way we initially when we started, we didn't even have wheels. We literally just built the machine and sold the machine bare. And over the years, as we added more and more stuff, the CB6 came out significantly later. And so it was kind of just a redesign and some updates. In a few years, John will probably update the CB8 to have that kind of stuff. But when we started selling the CB8s, we didn't even have wheels to offer for people. It was sold as just a bare machine. I actually remember the night that John announced the wheels. That was a pretty good night. I'll show you guys this one too. This is one of my favorite hearts that I've cut. That's a much closer to what I like is the shape. That's some of that condor seam. You can see the other one. Let me grab it. Has a steeper bump in the top. So it's just a preference thing. Which one you like more, but I tend to like this one more. All right. Well, y'all learn something. All right, we'll throw some agates in here. Now, this is not the nodule stuff. This is the seam, but it's been real pretty from the pieces that we looked at. Now, the real question is after tonight, how many people added the shaping machine and production trim saw to their dream shop of, man, I want that one day. All right, now these are pieces people passed on last night. And I'm like, I think that's gonna be pretty good. So we're gonna cut them and find out. Oh, that's awesome. That stuff, Matthew, is just gonna be small. If you're thinking, if you want like a piece like the one you were looking at, well, that stuff that you were looking at actually is not as expensive, but I can pull you out a big piece of that. Ooh. Well, that slipped. Let's see, maybe we'll cut this one. I don't really want to cut that way. I want to get more of the effect.
I am, yes. So far, I have shipped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've shipped 8 pallets of machines for UPS, and I have booked a lot for shipment. 1, 2, 3, 4. 18 crates for shipment. And that's a lot of machines. We do have one in here, but it is for the security cameras, but it's not up yet. I wish I did so I could watch Modern Family on it while I was working.
You know, on
That's
the
what I
4th of
do.
July, I set up the live event TV and was watching TV while I was doing spear making.
Really, I do that in the podcast room. That's my like safe space. That room is really cozy. Our UPS drivers are so sweet, but I know in their mind they're cursing us.
Oh man, this is some of that rocket I get from last night. We do not have an update, John. I don't know. I know John's sending over some batches of them, but I don't know how many and when. I know that been a real popular machine, and it's going to take us a while to get caught up on stainless steel 12s. John never expected it to be as popular as it has ended up being. I'm not really not surprised because when he showed it to me, I was like bouncing up and down. Well, I want to cut that off, but I think that's not going to fit in the way I want to cut it. Let's try it like this. If you want to pay it off, you're more than welcome to. Just know that it's going to be a wait. If you're worried about when it's coming in, we will definitely let you know if it arrives. We know when you need to pay it off. So if that's what you're worried about, definitely don't worry. We'll get you taken care of.
Darlene, you and Dave put in the deposit with me, right? The 10%. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you did. Okay. Yeah, you're on the list. When I get this batch in and I find out who's allocated on this batch, the team will start contacting you guys.
Take a slice off in this direction. Yeah, don't think that you're gonna miss out on one because it wasn't paid off. We'll call and let you know. Oh, it's gonna be a fun one. I think everybody's gonna want to deal on this Condor Steam after you guys see some pieces cut.
Yeah, was it Dave that texted me the other day? I didn't have the number saved and I never checked. Yeah, it was. Okay. My apologies for that. Um, Tomorrow for a phone call, I'm not sure how available I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be up here with Sherman, but I can check. Are you guys available like all day? Okay. All right. I'll try and give one of you guys a call.
Yeah,
You're
that might be
welcome.
more practical for Saturday too. Mid afternoon or something.
You guys are welcome.
This one's kind of this one actually, I was looking at, can just cut it for a specimen? Yeah, I won't be here, but I know that Jordan will, Jordan is always busy. Anytime you're working with Sherman, there is no on the phone. There is running around getting stuff done like crazy.
Yeah. This machine's warehouse is like I can barely move I can barely move stuff in and out. Um like that's like the hardest thing I try to convey to people that haven't seen the warehouse tours. Like a lot of the direct sales that they go through the sales reps. I try to when I get the phone call because they're like confused and frustrated. It literally like I can only ship out as much space as we have up here because it's not really a lot. That's such a good agate.
Look at that shadow in there. Isn't that crazy? And you know what's even crazier is this is one that got passed up last night on Tote Night. You can see this face right here, and you can see that shadow right there. That's what made me really excited about this one. Otherwise, it doesn't look quite that great. But when you can see it cut, you're like, dang, that is nice. You got super shadow in there. Oh, we can take this one out and throw another agate in. Oh yeah, the other half's just as good. Actually, I like this half a little bit better. I'm gonna grab another piece of that condor seam and throw it in here. In this 14. Oh, actually, look at
What's
that.
the
There's a little baby nodule in here that we'll cut.
It does have a lot. It does have a lot to do with the shipping. Um, it's just an insane, like, our dock space is crazy, crazy small.
You know what's funny is it used to feel like we had too much space, and in like a year it went from, oh my gosh, we need like twice this much. Little condor nodule. Let's see how this one turns out. Oh, you know what those are cutting? We should actually show. There's a lot of people that haven't seen the reciprocating lap yet that we were showing last night. Yeah, Sherman's always looking for more space because we're always crammed. He was looking at a space that we could put another 500 tons of rock. And we are getting, I think we're getting one more space. Oh my goodness. So all that rock you saw, Matthew, Sherman and I moved that all in a week with on pallets with with a couple forklifts.
Yeah, it was just you and Sherman moving the pallets and stuff. That was a
Yeah,
fun
because
couple weekends.
we were Sherman and I at the time were the only ones that could drive the forklifts. I like it, Jeremy. You're gonna have to send John and Sherman a message, and I'll be like, come on now. Let's show that reciprocating lap.
I love it, Brad. I love it.
Ain't that thing a beauty? Yeah, it does come with the bumper ring and the splash guard. 'Cause I know people are going to ask. Mango it. But it's a pretty good looking machine. And it's sitting on little bearings in there. Comes with an extra set. Turn it on. You can see oscillate. This thing is so quiet. I ran it just empty like this with a decibel meter, and it was only about 60 decibels. A 12-pound tumbler full of rock is about 75 decibels to give you guys an idea of how quiet this thing is. But it's pretty cool. You put your rock in there, moves it around, and it's basically it's a tumbler for polishing just a nice flat surface. Is a really good way to describe it. Because you'll put your stones face down in here and run them through the series of grits, and it'll come out with a mirror finish. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, right. I'm so excited about these machines. That's what Jordan's shipping out right now is these machines. Or at least that's what she was doing earlier. Yeah, we run 80 grit, 400 grit, and then dry polish on automotive carpet. Bacon. Get that in there. And take our bumper. Push that all the way down. There you go. I can't wait to start running that. I wanted to start it up, but I'm leaving tomorrow. Just I'll have to ask John, but just a light coating across the whole thing. On the grit for the 24-inch, I'd do 4 tablespoons of the 60, 90, or 80 grit. And on the 30-inch, I would do 6 tablespoons. That one's done. That one's done. That one's almost done. That one's almost done. I'd have to do the math on it, Matthew, but I think it's like 1 cup of grit. That would be nice capping material. I like the eye in there. Yes, you add water with it, so you have a slurry. I'll take a slice off this one. Yeah, when I get back, we'll run a batch. Yeah, this is the Condor seam. Well, this piece is Moroccan agate that we were cutting up last night. I was just finishing cutting that up before we take that out. Let's throw an island agate in here. As of I'm supposed to have this cart cleaned off by tomorrow. Get a little array. No, this is that. This is still a Moroccan agate. Isn't that gorgeous though?
It is.
We can take this one out and throw in another agate. We had a lot of fun doing tote out of the Moroccan last night. Last night was a crazy tote night with the with all the agates and the
Collection pieces.
yes, that, thank you.
Yep.
This one has got, we'll have to see where it is. Big little fracture running right through there. So we'll take and cut this end off right there. You see that fracture running right down through there. This one's still cut. I think this one's done.
It's so funny, Zeke. I'm working up here, and AJ, our sales rep AJ, is messaging me like crazy. She goes, "Oh my goodness, you're answering at this time of night?" I'm like, "Yeah, not for long."
That's so funny. I like that piece of condor too, with that green as the outer band, a little bit of orange in there, and then that red floater. I make a good target piece. AJ is great. I was just thinking about earlier when AJ was like, "I know you're messing with me." She gets very excited. But she does care a lot. Oh, that one's not quite done. That's cute. I like it. A little bit of purple in there. Definitely not what you'd expect from the skin. Yeah, when I get back, we'll have to do another one of those tote nights. Maybe we'll have to find another bin of collection stuff to do. I'll throw a river crossing in here. Yeah, this is going to be a lot better than cutting with a tile saw. You're running at a slower speed. You're a lot more precise as you're moving your cut. Much better blade. They also, I mean, most tile saws aren't going to be able to cut as big of a rock, although at the moment we're just cutting little ones. You'll notice significantly less microfractures on cutting in a saw like this than a tile saw. The other really nice thing about a saw like this is you can index it. So if you're cutting, making a cut, and you want a nice slab, you can move it over and have a perfect slab.
I do love HA.
It's an emergency.
That's so funny. I just messaged her that right now.
That's the next hat we need.
It's an
Or
emergency.
a
Well,
shirt.
I needed help with an address because I don't know why some addresses are getting messed up. And so I messaged her that. I was like, it's an emergency. Please help me.
Yeah, I do like the system was like, hey, this address doesn't look right. You gotta check it.
Oh my goodness. Like every other thing I tried to ship yesterday. I was like, all right, I need a coffee before I have to deal with this.
Take a layer off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's one of my favorite things that John says. Gotta go take a layer off, dude. Yeah, I think Lapidary Dave has a bunch of videos too on modifying pile saws and things to make them more functional. It's not ideal, but you can definitely make it work. That's one of the things I love about what Lapidary Dave does. It's a good way to get started in there. Yeah, it's funny. I would have never used the word dude before. And as I said that, I was just thinking, huh, that's funny. And John and Sherman always say that. You
They really do.
definitely, you definitely pick up on the people around you. They say the five people you're the sum of the five people you spend the most time with, and dude went from a word that I pretty much would have never used to about every other sentence. Same with the F word, out here, like I never swore when I lived in Utah, and out here you swear like a sailor. There's been a few times I've had to catch myself on the live event because I almost swore. It is. I
Oh
don't know
my
what
God,
it
it
is
is.
about being out here on the East Coast, but it is a lot more prevalent. Yeah, we talked about baking a window kit. I gotta ask John an update on that. I'm sure he's gonna go, dude. It's on the long list of things to do.
I was just gonna say
Vernacular.
that, Jen.
That's
Yep.
so funny. I like that word. It's not a word you use a lot. Vernacular. Yeah, right, Jeremy. Close, but not quite the same. I think this one's gonna be a real good one too. This piece of condor that's the condor scene that's in this saw right now. Some of those ones that we were looking at last night that had like the purples and blues in them, I was really impressed with. No, what you're looking at in Jordan's camera, I think are 18s or 20s.
20s.
20s, all right, yeah. So those are the tops of the 20-inch saws. Actually, I can take you over. I think we still got one in the lab over here. I can show you a 30 crate.
Do you guys need dimensions or something?
So you can visualize. Yeah. This is a crate for the 30-inch reciprocating lap. So if I come stand next to it, you can kind of get an idea of the size. I don't know why we have boxes piled on it, but that's for a
That was from
30
the
inch.
shipment.
So 24 will be a little bit smaller, but good size crate. We do, Jeremy. Depends on the machine. We do sell parts for older saws and some that are not Highland Park brand, but not everything. So it depends on what machine and what you need. Although John is very good about making people custom parts.
We were just talking about that last night.
Oh, that's awesome, Jen. Yeah, I think that's awesome that John makes parts for other machines or older machines that aren't in operation anymore. Because it helps keep people cutting rock, which is what we're here for. We do have a lot of fun cutting rocks, but it's also a good way to spend time with people, and you do definitely meet a lot of people you would have never met otherwise cutting rocks. Like Jordan and I are a perfect example of people that would have never crossed paths without rocks.
True.
The Vibrolapse we do not make parts for. The old ones. That's funny, Cynthia. I don't think anybody makes parts for them. John was never a fan of the older ones with the four legs because they were really hard to balance. Hey, Jordan,
Yes, Secret. Can I help you?
do you got the dimensions of a 24-inch crate up there?
24-inch saw or reciprocating lap.
Oh, reciprocating lap.
30 by 30 by 30, but the shipping weight is gonna say 31, 31, 31.
I think this rock I put here was a tad bit too tall. Oh, look at that purple in there.
So that's cool.
That's really fun. I really
You're
like, and
welcome.
you know what's even crazier is this is a piece that someone passed on last night. That's definitely what we got to make a cab out of. Take a slice off. That's another thing I would have never said before. Take a slice off. That is definitely something I picked up
Hmm.
from John. Oh, this is one of the island baguettes that we cut. This is the one that had the big fracture right there. We cut down parallel next to it. Yeah, it's okay. That's the joy of cutting agates. Is you gotta cut them to find that wow piece. We'll throw another one in here. Make a few more cuts. Well, and I'm excited for tomorrow night too, because Jaden loaded up that Koyamito for tomorrow night. I was very excited to find some Koyamito rough. Oh, I set the chain just a tad bit short on this one. Ooh, that's got good shadow in there. I like the tubes in there
That's
too.
cool.
Yeah, that one's definitely one worth polishing. It is, Marvin. I like the eye right in the center of that one. That's fun. Yeah, should use that one. You can see the depth in there a little bit better too. Pinolith will definitely soak up some oil. But we cut it in oil. If you're gonna cut it in oil, what I would do is soak it in the oil absorbent, the quick absorb. That'll help pull a lot of that oil out. That'd be a good one to get some cut down of.
What?
Pinolith. We haven't shown any pinolith in a while. I love that sphere I did to the pinolith. Oh, I really like this one. This one with some tall, skinny calves. It's gonna look so good. That green with little orange dots and that red running down there. I have to use a piece of that in the entire show. We'll see how we did on these saws. Oh, well, that wasn't as exciting. It's got some nice cabbing areas in there still. They're really close. Very, very close. It also depends on the saw. Some saws are got more spacing than others. But it's not much. Oh, this is definitely gonna be the best one of the night. You can already see this agate from what was sitting in the catch tray there. That's a sweet little agate. Had that nice red, yeah, yellow, and then kind of a purplish pink band, back to yellow, and then that pinkish purple, and then nice druzy in there. That's a great river crossing. This one's river crossing. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands, and when we'll show these last couple island agates, and when they're done, we'll call it a night because I am beat.
Ow.
I am excited to see the stuff you guys make as more you get the like the shaping machines. Because if you're trying to run a little production, one man production or one person production shop, you'll definitely find it's a great tool for being able to produce. I also think with that machine, I mean, I know I've said it before, but I'm sure there's people that haven't heard it before. I think it would be a great business model if you had, if you were selling a lot of slabs to offer up, um, cab preforms as something that you sell. Because you could take a $20 slab, cut a bunch of preforms out of it, and be getting $5 to $15 a preform, depending on size, shape, how nice they were. So I think it's definitely a way that you could take pieces and really increase their value with really minimal work. So it's definitely something if you were looking at getting into the rock business to think about as a way to like pay off a shaping machine. Yeah, also just the amount of custom work people would want done would be nice too. But it's a machine that definitely I wish I would have had when I had my shop because I would have had that thing running all day. We actually, let's see, let me show you. We have a little plate that's just a blank plate that you can cut down and make your own shapes. But Sherman says just use your cab machine. You can grind it down to whatever shape you want to make a cab with, and you can make that shape. But it's already got the keyed hole in there, so you just grind it down to whatever shape you want. And even better, if you want, John to make a brass one, we have the ability to do that too. So it's pretty cool, and I think you guys could have a lot of fun playing with a machine like that. You guys got any other machine questions while we're sitting here waiting for the saws to finish? When the Everclean's full is kind of hard to tell right away. Let me take you over to a saw with an Everclean on it. And I'll tell you how I mean, really the only way to be certain is to just take the top off after you turn it off, of course. Well, let's see, I can give you a view of it. Start up our Everclean. Can you see how the oil coming in is like pure white? If that was pouring back in and it was looking a little bit more like chocolate milk, that to me would suggest that that can is full. And it's not a guaranteed way, but it'll certainly give you an idea. But really, the only way to know is to just take the top off. Let's see, let's check this one and see. My guess is that this one's about half full. Yeah, people put them on. We have the Everclean tank that people use, or you could, if you had one mounted on one machine. Yeah, see, this one's about half full. When it's all the way full, I won't be able to show you guys because you can't see up underneath there. When it's all the way full, the mud will be all the way even with this, straight down. It'll be like a tube of mud right there. But I'll show you the Everclean tank where people will take a tank like this. Now this one's set up for the core drill, but you could drain your saw in here, run it through the Everclean, and then pump it back into your saw. And that would be a way you could push this around and use it for multiple saws. You could do the same thing if you mounted the Everclean on one saw and then drained your other saws in there. So it's a centrifuge. So what you do is you have the drum in there spinning at a high speed, and the dirty oil comes in the top and it slings all the heavy mud particles to the outside, and the oil fills up and bubbles out and goes back into the tank. When it's full, what you get is a can like this, where, well, you need to dump that little bit of clean oil back into the saw. But you take and you pull this can out, and some people will either hammer the lid on and throw this away. Some people will clean out the mud and reuse the can. Either option's fine. When I had my shop, I would just throw the cans away and put a new one in. We are almost always low on cans here, so we clean them because Sherman's like, no, you can't take more out of inventory. But you can reuse or toss them. But it is impressive with how much muck those things will clean out. It's a half gallon. Oh, looks like that I get done. So I would just, if I was pumping them back, I would take the can out of the Everclean and I would take the lid off and put the lid back in the saw to use the lid of the Everclean to pump the oil back in. Some people will set up a second pump to do it that way, but I would just use the lid off the Everclean. Now, let's see how we did on this one. Womp womp. You never know. This one we could probably take and recut over here, but yeah. Oh, it's got some nice banding in it. I like when you get these little like cloudy areas that come down through the banding. Gives it an interesting look. There you go.
About how
Found the
long does
Laggett.
it take? About how long does it take to clean one saw? It depends on your definition of clean.
Well, it also
Um,
we never just it depends on how long you let it get dirty too. If you
yeah.
do it regularly, it's like when we mount them on every saw, so they're just running all the time. If you let a saw get really bad, then you won't even be able to clean it. So like if you were gonna drain saws and do multiple, I would probably do them like once a week at least. Drain them out, run them through, and it really just depends on how much cutting you do. But in a club environment, I imagine you're probably getting a decent amount of hours on them. I've never done it that way, where I drained multiple into one tank. So I'll have to ask John. But I would imagine that if you took a saw after a week of cutting and ran it through an Everclean, I'd imagine it would take 1 to 3 hours of running the Everclean to get that oil real clean. But that's just a purely a guess. Yeah, if you do it regularly and where you can still drain it and let it flow, it's going to be a lot easier than if you wait until it's real mucky and a big pain in the butt. So if you're doing it often, it shouldn't be too bad. Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything else you guys need to see tonight? Any other questions I might have missed? Oh, that's awesome, Ed. Lizelle, you want to play or have the team, someone play that video of the grabber? You can get a sneak peek at it. John, that little video John did.
And these two parts move apart and together. It has huge gripping force. There's 3 screws on the bottom, so you can do weird pieces, or you could take a screw out, or you could, you know. And the other thing I've done with this before is you could take one of these screws out, and it allows a top piece to pivot, so you can hold really, really weird pieces really easily. And I used to use it a lot when I cut Brazilian agates. I would have a half, and then it's really hard to grab that half because it's curved. And I could stick it in here and get the edge of the cut face underneath these screws and clamp down on it and then put it in my vise. And man, it would hold it great.
It's not designed for holding rough rock. It's designed for taking, like, imagine you slab up a chunk of rock and you want to be able to finish slabbing up what's in the vise, but there's too small to clamp again. You take it out and you take the flat face and put it against the rock and put it against the face of that with the screws. And you use the edge of the screws to hold the rock to the gripper, and then you put the gripper in your vise. Yes, there we go. I see why the confusion was there. Yeah, you can't just take like a chunk of rough rock and stick it in there. I'm glad, Jamie. Yeah, when you said rough rock, that's what clicked for me, that where the disconnect was. Oh, I got you, Jeff. That's currently that's the only way we have it. It would have to be a special request from John to get it just like a length of that tubing. Those the slab grabbers, they're just building them, so probably a 3-month wait.
Yeah, that's gonna be a wait for those ones.
Yeah.
But you guys, if you're not on the list for those, you're gonna want to be.
This is like the pre-orders to get them. I guarantee as soon as we get those and I shoot a video of it and we post it up online, we will be sold out for the rest of the year. We're gonna end up with a huge backlog of those because they're gonna be super popular. I mean, heck, I know I've been waiting at least 3 years for one. We'll shoot a video as soon as we get one. You know, Alan, I am not sure. Yeah, exactly, Jamie. That's why I'm so excited about one. How many people in the room? Put a me in the chat. If you got a pile of pieces that are like too small to stick in your vise, but you'd love to be able to finish slabbing them up. You're like, gosh, if only I could just clamp that and use up the rest of that material. Yeah, there you go. Anybody that was like me should be ordering one of those. Or if you got to glue it to a board, this solves it so you don't have to glue it to a board. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. As always, it's so much fun to hang out with you. It was fun getting to play with the shaping machine, offer up some deals. Hopefully that gives you guys some better insight into how awesome the shaping machine is. And we'll see y'all tomorrow night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks everybody.
Bye.